In this video, I will use an order form to create normalized tables. We can identify multiple entities in this form: order date, receive date, and order number. These are specific items for just the order. Employee ID, first name, last name, and these are related to employee. Supplier information, so we have an entity supplier, and item information, stock keeping unit, description, category, brand, other information, and shipping charge, that's for the entire order as well, and we do not include total in database like any other calculated field. So we start with listing all fields, grouping related fields together. So order number, date, receive, and shipping charge together related to order, employee data, and supplier data, and so on. So list all the related data together. Now we need to look at repeating groups, potential repeating groups, since we have multiple items in one order. So that will be a repeating group. If you're going to make the first normal form, we need to separate the repeating group. We need to identify a potential primary key or add a primary key here, stock keeping unit. The unique identifier of each item can be the primary key for the new table, and we take a copy of the primary key of order number as well, to use it as part of the primary key for the new table. This will be the first normal form. There is no repeating group. For each order, we have one employee involved and one supplier. We don't send one order to multiple suppliers. Item order is a new table. We have a combined key. Stock keeping unit and order number combined make the primary key of this table. So this is first normal form. Now we concentrate on second normal form. In second normal form, all fields must depend on the entire key. So this is a reference to the table with combined key. Here we can see that description of the item, the category, brand, and color, they depend on stock keeping unit. Quantity ordered of the same item and purchase cost, these two fields depend on both keys. This is a reference to a business rule. Purchase cost depends on stock keeping unit and order number. That means purchase cost could be different for the same stock keeping unit. It does not depend on the primary key of the item, and that's realistic because we may have a different purchase cost for the same item at a different time. If the purchase cost was constant all the time, then it would depend on just stock keeping unit. So we need to separate fields that depend on just part of the key in a new table, and that part of the key will be the primary key of that table. This will be the item table. Here we have our new table, stock keeping unit, primary key. All fields depend on the key, and there is a one-to-many relationship between item table and order item. There's also a one-to-many relationship between the order and order item. So these tables are in second normal form. Now we'll look at the third normal form. In the third normal form, all fields must depend on primary key. There should be no dependence on a non-key field. Looking at order table, we can see that first name, last name of employee, they depend on employee ID. If we know employee ID, we know what's the first name and last name. So is for supplier. All fields of supplier data depend on supplier ID, which is not a primary key in this table. Supplier ID can depend on order number. When we know the order number, we can determine the supplier ID. But then if we know supplier ID, we know what company it is, what's the first and last name of the contact there, phone, email, and other information. So we need to separate these two tables. On the supplier table, primary key will be supplier ID, and employee table. Primary key will be employee ID. And this will be the third normal form. All tables are in the first and second normal form, and all fields depend on primary key. There's no dependence on a non-key field. We have a copy of the primary keys of the tables separated from order table as foreign keys in order table, so that we can have a relationship between the tables, a one-to-many relationship between employee in order and supplier in order. So for each employee, we can have multiple orders. For each order, we have one employee. So for supplier, for one supplier, we may have multiple orders. Each order is for just one supplier. Now this group of tables make a view of the database. This is the order view, we have the sales view, and we will integrate these two views. From the previous video, we have the sales view. Common tables between these two views are employee and item. So we'll first look at employee and item table. If there are missing fields in any of the tables, we combine the fields for the tables, make sure none of the required fields are missing, and then establish the relationships of these tables with tables from both views. For example, here we have employee relationship with sale table. This sale to customer, it comes from the sales view, and employee table relationship with order table. For the item table also, we have a one-to-many relationship of item and order item, order that goes to supplier, and also relationship of item table with sale item, sale to customers. And this is the integrated view of these two forms. We can continue this process with different views until we include all entities, all classes of data as tables into one schema. At this point, we can review the business rules and see if we are looking at any of the tables with missing data. We may have a price for item. This is the list price in a table. In sale item table, we may have different prices at different times for the same item. For example, if there's a sales promotion, we may have the item with a lower price, so that price is different than the list price. We can call that sale price, and we can add that field to this table.